Greetings, Neuse Little Pod listeners. This is your host, Matt Gore, reminding you to please like, follow, subscribe, and share the podcast on your available podcast apps such as Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, iHeartRadio, and any other podcast app you can think of. Share our episodes on Facebook and let us know what you think with a comment or review. Now, please enjoy the show. Good evening and welcome to Neuse Little Podcast. This is an audio program talking about the backstage antics and stories of running a small town community theater on the banks of the Neuse River located in Smithfield, North Carolina. We lovingly refer to the old girl as the Hut. We hope you enjoy. All right, good evening and welcome to another episode of Neuse Little Podcast. I am your host, Matt Gore, and we've got a brand spanking new episode for you this evening. We have here the cast of Trip to Bountiful. That is a play by Horton Foote. That'll be opening up at the Neuse Little Theater on May 27th, and will continue May 28th, 29th. That's a 3 o'clock matinee on a Sunday. Those last two are 8 o'clock. And then we'll continue the next weekend, June 3rd and 4th at 8 p.m. You can make reservations for the show by calling 919-934-1873 and just leaving your name. It's as easy as that, folks. Or the tickets are actually $13 reservations and $15 when you walk up to the door. So come on out and see the season finale of the 47th season at Neuse Little Theater. All right, we got the cast here. We're going to introduce them. I'm very excited to get to know them. I've only met one of them, so this is going to be a new experience for me. All right, so to my immediate left, I have here
Caroline Chavez.
How you doing, Caroline? Thank you for being on the podcast today.
Thank you for having me.
And what part do you play?
Jessie Mae Watts.
Okay, cool. We'll get in deeper into that and the characters a little bit later, but for now, what's your name, sir?
Tim Russell.
Tim, I do know you. We've been in a play before.
We have.
And I'm glad to see you back here at the Hut, sir. Thank you. And what part do you play?
I play Ludi Watts.
That's the son, right?
That's correct.
All right. And sitting right across from me is a very lovely lady. What's your name, ma'am?
My name is Edith Berry, and
All
I'm
right.
playing Mrs. Carrie Watts.
And that's the lead. That's the lady about what it's all about, right? The mother. Yes. So I have not seen this play before. So I'm going to ask you what brought you guys to the Hut, to our humble hut. As you can see, we've done a lot of shows here over time. What made you walk through those little wooden doors, Carolyn?
Well, I grew up in Smithfield, and several friends of my family and even members of my family have been in productions in the past of the Neuse Little Theater. And due to some elder care issues of late, I've been in town more often. And so I noticed there were going to be auditions, and I thought I would give it a try.
Is your first audition at NLT?
Well, here's the thing. I have a twin sister.
Okay.
And our recollection is that we were children in Showboat. But I'm remembering that was at the old high school at Triple S. And that we were just speaking role.
Right.
It was just that maybe they brought us on the stage really quickly and we played the quote children and then they shuffled us off. Yeah.
That sounds very likely. That's what they did with the Munchkins on Wizard of Oz, Yeah, they kept him hazed with candy. Like, come on, this way, lead us out, and we're done. And they sing a song. Now, I'm sure glad you decided to join our humble little hut for a production. Has it been fun so far?
It has. Thank you.
Yeah. How about you, Tim? Now, I know you've been in Death of the Salesman and, if I'm not mistaken, Our Town before.
You have a good memory.
So we've been in two plays. That's cool.
That's correct.
Now, I remember on you in Death of the Salesman because you played the waiter, and that was directed by Randy Jordan. That was about 4 or 5 years ago. What made you come back to the Hut for this part?
I started with Death of a Salesman because I was interested in trying something I'd never tried before, which was community theater. And so that's how I started and got that role, and then was in Our Town. And I love Neuse Little Theater and have always had great experiences with everybody here. And I saw that the Trip to Bountiful was being cast, and I loved that movie. We fell in love with that movie when it first came out.
When did the movie come out?
Probably 1984, 85.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Geraldine Page won an Oscar for it, for Carrie Watts. And then, of course, recently, Cicely Tyson just won a Tony for it, probably 7 or 8 years ago. We've lost Cicely in the last year or so. But it was revived on Broadway, and she won a Tony. So I love, Horton Foote, of course, did the screenplay for To Kill a Mockingbird, and I'm familiar with his work. Tender Mercies, he did a screenplay.
He did do Tender Mercies, didn't he? That's
Robert
the
Duvall.
Robert Duvall. That's his.
Exactly right.
He won an Oscar for that.
That's right.
So he's done this writer has done a lot of interesting work and a lot of work you might know. It seems like he has a niche, like tales from country. I guess
Texas, yeah.
I guess
they're set in Texas.
Yeah, I guess that's the right. More of like a down home feel type of play.
Country,
yeah. All right. Yes, you, ma'am. What brings you to our humble hut?
Well, the first thing is that I was on Facebook and saw the auditions for A Trip to Bountiful. I saw the play with Cicely Tyson in it because that was really her last performance on Broadway. That was in 2013, 2014. And so when I saw the audition, it's like, I just finished doing a production at Burning Coal Theater downtown Raleigh called The Front Porch Society. And I wanted to take a rest, but when I saw the play, I'm not a Cicely Tyson, but I wanted to audition, so here I am.
Well, we definitely appreciate you coming down. Do you live in the Raleigh area?
Yes, I live in the Raleigh area. I'm only about maybe 25 minutes away from here.
Yeah. I've not done something with Burning Coal, but I am aware of them. I do know several people that have. They do some interesting work down there. Is that the only other play you've been in the Raleigh area?
Well, at Burning Coal, it was really Agape Theater project that I did the play. I've done a lot of community theater plays. I've been with the Justice Theater Project, in Black Nativity, Ragtime, Oliver, plays like that. So there's been several community theaters that I have performed with.
Wow. Very impressive. I've heard of all those you just mentioned. I haven't heard of them. Justice Theater Project, they do good work, and they just did something that was very interesting. It was was it Roe? Did they do the Roe?
Yes,
Yeah. That was a very interesting play. Unfortunately, I could not get down to see it, but I do know several people that are in that production. I heard really good things about it. There's always interesting theater to be in Raleigh. They are doing all types of stuff. We haven't really touched it on the podcast, but there's a lot of great opportunities in Raleigh for all different types of theater, almost any that you can think of. All right, so, and Miss Caroline, you said this is your first play ever, right?
Well,
Besides the Mysterious Showboat.
whenever we were young, again, my twin sister and I, we performed in musicals in The Sound of Music and The King and I at Raleigh's Village Dinner Theater, which, if anybody's familiar with Raleigh, it's where the Angus Barn restaurant near that area. It's no longer in existence, but it was really fun to do. And I've been to auditions, as an adult. Most recently, I wrote a play.
Okay.
And that was staged in Austin, Texas for the Austin Latino New Play Festival at the
cool.
Rollins Theater. So I've been on the playwright side of things, but I think it's always good to have a chance to have the acting experience. And thanks to our director, I'm getting some great feedback.
Yes, Mita is here with us, but we are running out of mics, so she's going to have to just hop on and hop off while she keeps an eye on the sound gauges over there. But let's get back to this play. Tell me what your play's about. What's the title of it?
The name of the play is called Kinsia What? And essentially it's the story of two young girls that are almost 15 years old, and one of them invites the other to their quinceanera. And it really revolves around the idea of what it means to be Hispanic.
Okay.
And it's set in San Antonio, and I lived in San Antonio for about 16 years. That's where I met my husband, and he happens to be Hispanic. And so the culture there in Texas really had an interesting influence on me through his family. And I basically had a dream one day and woke up, and he told me to write it down. And then I saw later on Facebook, similar to what Edith mentioned, Austin Latino New Play Festival contest. And he said, hey, maybe you should try to turn that into a play. And so I Googled how to write a play, and I got selected.
You Googled how to write a play?
Yes.
Yeah.
And, but the great thing about that play is
So-
it was
whoa, whoa.
staged.
I'm sorry. Your first play you ever wrote was staged?
Yes, I think I got.
I'm out of here.
It was a really lucky, great experience. But I got to work with, a director, the actors, and a dramaturg. So I really learned the concept of how a dramaturg advises the playwrights and the cast. And so I didn't cast the play. I basically watched from the playwright perspective, but I definitely learned the importance of, if you don't write it down specifically, the actors will definitely, they have a lot of leeway with their creative license when they get
Yes.
the part. And so what happened in that play was that maybe there were certain scenes where I didn't expect them to go a certain way, but I didn't write it specifically not to. So I learned a lot through that process.
Yeah, I'm sure. There's a lot to learn. My fiance is actually Hispanic too, and I recently went to an authentic North Carolina quinceañera. It was in the
Que bueno.
Yeah, it was in the middle of nowhere. There were 300 people there. Getting out of the parking lot was a nightmare, and there was 300 people packed in this, and the amazing dresses. Just whoa! Every single family bought a 24-pack of beer, and I guess that was the admission fee. And they would just get to the door of the venue and just stand and look at the sea of people until somebody recognized them and said, "Oh, ¿cómo está?" And then they bring them down. And I looked around. I remember this. I looked around and I was having a good time. I was having a beer. It was very nice. I'm like, holy crap! Like this is. I will never have a party like this in my life. It will never happen. And I looked around. I was like, man, we're all getting COVID. And but no, that didn't happen. So I was very thankful for that. But there was a lot of people packed in that tiny room. But it was very elaborate, very fun. But that's interesting.
I've never been lucky enough to be able to attend one. So
This was
hopefully
the
one
real
day I'll
deal.
have an opportunity.
Oh, there's a lot of them. Apparently, like they said, I was like, are all these people family, Tamara? Are all these people family? She's like, yeah, they're all family. I'm like, I don't believe that. Because that would mean that your dad would have to go to a quinceañera every single weekend for the rest of his life. And she's like, that's kind of how it is. And I'm just like, oh my God. So, Tim, tell us about your background a little bit. You're a pastor?
Yes. Yeah, I am. I'm a pastor.
Pastor? No, I didn't want to. I was at a funeral recently, and I called the lady that was doing the service a pastor, and she wasn't. So I was trying to get the nomenclature right.
That's correct. I'm a United Methodist pastor. I've been doing it for 36 years. I am retiring as of June 30th.
Oh,
And
congratulations!
So, thank you. So I look forward to doing some different things. But I'm currently at Horn Memorial in Clayton. We've lived in Clayton since 2008. Which is how we discovered Neuse Little Theater in Smithfield. But I was, for a time, about 12 years, I was the assistant to the bishop for the North Carolina Conference, so sort of overseeing all of Eastern North Carolina.
Yes.
And then I've been back in a pulpit for the last 2 years.
Interesting. Now, your wife is in the play too, correct?
She is.
What part does she play?
She plays a ticket agent and Rosie, the ticket agent. So she
Okay.
plays two different ticket agents.
Yeah, I heard that you guys had to combine a few parts. It happens
Right.
sometimes.
Right.
And what's her name, sir? I forgot.
Pam. No,
Pam.
that's fine.
Sorry, Pam. We ran out of mics, or else we'd have everybody, but we have limited mics. So, interesting. Now, how about a little bit of background from you there, Miss Edith? Where do you hail from, as it were?
Okay, I'm originally from New York City in Brooklyn. I've been down here for close to 29 years. I've always been either involved with acting or dancing as a dancer, and a lot of productions and things that I've been in. We go back to when I was a teenager. I also danced with Bernadette Stannis, who's known as Thelma from Good Times.
That's awesome.
Yes, and I was with her. We were dancing together, and then after it, she was in the Miss Black Teen America, and she was in, they asked her to audition for Good Times, and next thing I know, she was on TV, and I said, oh, I know her. We danced together. I have run into her again at the National Black Theater Festival in Winston-Salem, and so she still remembers me, and it's just been going uphill all the way. So I started a drama ministry at the church I attend. I'm also a minister.
Oh, okay, cool.
And so I have drama productions. I'm a playwright. I've directed, produced the plays.
Wow.
We've done dance. We've done drama. And we do the mime with the white face and the gloves.
Yeah.
I've done that as well. So usually when I see something of interest, I just audition and go for it.
Well, that's interesting. What an eclectic group of artists we have here on our podcast today. That is very interesting. You wouldn't think that all these people would be kind of like Kevin Bacon connected, but that's interesting. All right, so let's talk about the actual rehearsal of this play, the rehearsal process of this play. Now, this is the part where I'll let Mita come in and jump on whenever she wants. And so we'll start. What? What did I say?
I would like to hear their unbiased opinions on this, actually.
Okay. You're telling me, Mita, that it's not all peaches and cream 100% of the time, every day? Okay, no, I'm just kidding. We'll start with you, Caroline, since that's the way we've been going so far.
Okay. What would you like to know?
I want to know. I want to know what it's like working with Mita as a director. I would like to know the themes of the play that really speak to you, and I would like to know how your character fits into that tapestry.
Okay. So far, so good.
All right,
In
moving
terms
on.
of
Thank you.
Working with Mita. And again, I feel very lucky to have been given the chance to work with these actors that have more experience in the adult shows, than I have, since my work was largely in youth theater, so to speak. But yes, I mean, so far so good. Mita is really allowing us to be creative, and at the same time, she offers a lot of feedback. Sometimes she does that at the end, at the end of the sessions, for the practices. But it's never in a demanding type of way. It's just very, I feel collaborative. That would be the word. Yeah. The play itself, I love the movie, similar to what Tim said, and I love both actresses and Cicely Tyson's performance. I'm very jealous of Edith that she got to see that live.
Absolutely.
But it's such a beautiful movie. And I think that we all get tugged in with the concept of the question, can you go home again? And for me, what drew me back here largely to North Carolina was because of my parents and wanting to be here to assist them as they've grown older. And my dad unfortunately passed away a couple of months ago, but I was very glad that my husband and I were here to be more closely involved in their care. But I think, whenever you've moved across state lines or just anywhere away from your hometown, you always wonder as the years go by what's happened to it. And I think we all have those yearnings of, can you go home again? And I think that the answer is in this play. I'm afraid I'm not so sure you can, but that's not necessarily a bad thing if you learn from it. And what was your third question?
I did kind of fire them off quickly there. How does your character fit into that overall tapestry that is this play?
I think that the character of Jessie May is very important because she highlights what I would say would be caregiver frustration.
Gotcha.
She is married and is, loves her husband Ludi, and she is also dealing with the fact that he has just had an illness that, she probably had to help nurse him for a while. He's finally back to work. The mother-in-law, Mrs. Watts, lives in the same 3-room apartment, so that's very tight quarters. So I feel like caregivers can become exhausted, and it's important. And I think, with COVID, like what we've all dealt with when we're all locked down, so to speak, I can't even imagine, people who are full-time 100% caregivers, how tired they might get. And it has nothing to do with how much they may love their family member. Their love is eternal, of course, but it's just that wanting to have a respite. And I think that you hear that in the role of Jessie May. And people might think she's not very nice, or, because she maybe makes some comments that don't sound too nice, but we all have to remember to have some grace with her character, I think, because she's representing the person who is trying to help under extreme conditions. And that's what I think is kind of comes out with this particular role.
It seems like you wanted to respond to that. How would you respond to that, Edith? You were over there nodding your head. I was just like...
I concur with a lot of the things that Caroline was saying about her character as Jessie May. As the mother of this story, I remember initially our first meeting with the cast, which has been absolutely wonderful, that I shared with them my personal story that my mom, she's not, she passed away a couple of years ago, but she's from a small town called Blunt's Creek, North Carolina. So I made the association of Bountiful, Texas with Blunt's Creek because it's kind of spelled similar. And my mom's hometown is very small, just like Bountiful. The house that she grew up in, it's still standing up. It's over 100 years old, and I'm working on preserving it. But I just feel that the things that Jessie May is doing, I have concerns about how I am treated as the mother-in-law.
Yeah. Interesting. Now, how does the son fit into this?
From my perspective, he's the star. He's the glue that holds the whole thing together.
Can't do that. No, but what's his reaction to his mother
well,
and his wife?
he's stuck in the middle, sort of like
Yeah.
I am right now physically. I'm
Yeah,
between the two.
you physically
I'm
are in the middle, yeah.
I'm between my wife and my mother. He's and I think he's trying to. I think he's trying to respect his mother, but also there is tension, as Caroline said, because it is. You can sort of imagine living with your mother-in-law in a 3-room apartment. And so he's trying to respect his mother but love his wife and try to just keep peace, I think, in a lot of them.
Question, is it his mother-in-law or is his mother?
It's her mother-in-law. It's my mother.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I wanted to get them. Okay. Having been on the caregiver side of things and also having been a patient that needed recovery from surgery and had to have a caregiver, I can definitely sympathize from both angles. Because, yes, we have unlimited love as caregivers, but we do not have unlimited energy as adults and human beings. We realize that the older we get. And then from the patient side of things, about how maybe I want to do this, but I am physically unable to do so. But I've done this a million times before in my life, but you are unable to do so now or until you get better. Those are themes that I think a lot of people can connect with in the audience because the world has no shortage of people that are getting older. You know, it is something that is going to be prevalent in our society and even more so in the coming years because there's just simply more people on the earth. But let's move on.
It's always interesting to when you get people to audition, and this is for folks out there who have ever wanted to try it out. Trust me, you've got a shot at it. But when people come to auditions, sometimes it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you look like. It doesn't matter. It really is the chemistry between people, but it's also the potential. So when I see people who audition, sometimes I go, they're not. I can see it. I can see the potential there. So I guess that's the main thing. It's I could see Edith as Carrie. I could see Carolyn as Jessie May. I don't know where Tim came from. So.
Like a bad penny.
Now you said that you had mentioned that your dad wanted to do this play. You mentioned that in the last episode, but he's actually in this play now. So just talk briefly about old Fred being in A Trip to Bountiful.
Well, we had a very low turnout for auditions, so I actually had a part that needed to be filled, and so he made the comment to me after the board meeting. He said, I know it was the show I wanted to do, and I slacked off and didn't even bother to come. I said, do you want a part?
Yeah.
But he's 84 years old and on stage. We'll see how that works.
Don't count old Fred out just yet. He's got
No.
a few tricks up his sleeve.
He's got more energy than I do.
Now that I can believe. Yeah, I hope I have half the energy that Fred does when if I ever make it to 84.
I want to have half the energy he does now.
Yeah. So we've got Tech Week coming in next week, and obviously, there's always it always seems a little overwhelming going into it, but you guys seem to have a handle on things. What are your expectations from this coming week?
I think that it's going to go well because I think each day we have more and more of the set appearing with the, things that make the set more realistic. And I think that helps us get more into character. So I'm anticipating it going very well.
What about you, Tim? You got a bigger part this time around. I forget, who did you play in our town?
Mr. Webb, the newspaper editor.
So yes, one of the father of the son or the daughter. I can't remember. I was in that play.
Daughter. Yeah, the daughter.
Yeah. So this is a little bit heftier, a little bit meatier role for you. So what do you see in the coming week that how to pull it together and the expectations?
Well, that week is where it really starts getting serious. That's where you really get you realize the time is coming and opening night is coming. So it's going to be hard work, but it's good. I do want to say Mita is a wonderful director.
She is
very calm, very chill, very gentle. But she's great, and it's great. And I also would just like to take a moment to thank you and everybody connected to Neuse Little Theater, because from the time I ever showed up here, it was a community. It was a family. And everybody, I was scared to death the first time I did Death of a Salesman. But people couldn't have been more supportive. And so if anybody's out there listening who would like to try it sometime, I would just encourage you to give it a try and come audition, and you'll find a loving, caring community that is trying to support each other and do the best we can with great material.
Mita, isolate that audio. We're going to use that as a promo. What about you, ma'am?
Yes, I'm excited and looking forward to Tech Week. And I have to say the same thing as Tim did. Kudos to Mita for her direction and her creativity and openness to giving us suggestions and ideas. And also, even when I'll send her an email about some thoughts and things like that, she's really very open about that. But as it was mentioned, the stage scenery is coming together so nicely, and now with the tech part coming together, it'll be more realistic.
Yeah.
Because as we are practicing and we see the set coming alive on stage, it's making us feel a little more comfortable, and now we know how to better understand our blocking and where to go and how to handle the stage props and things that we have to do. It just makes it comes alive. So I'm looking forward to that and very excited.
Well, we all are. More often than not, the last show of the season, if you kind of look at all of our seasons on the past 10, 20 years, there's generally some thought put into the order. And more often than not, it's like a feel-good play. That almost always happens, with some exceptions. And this is definitely a feel-good play that is going to close out our 47th season. And we are very proud of you for that. Thank you for coming by, taking time out of your rehearsals. Well, you guys don't rehearse on Wednesdays, but taking time out of where you could have been rehearsing to come here and do this podcast. We really appreciate it. Also, I'm going to tell you the dates one more time because I do want to promote the play as much as possible. The dates for the show are: opening night is Friday, May 27th at 8 p.m. Saturday, May 28th, 8 p.m. Sunday, May 29th, that is a 3 o'clock matinee. And then Friday, June 3rd, with an 8 o'clock matinee. And Saturday, June 4th. What did I say? 8 o'clock. The kids in the background are just, as you can hear, folks. There's children playing outside that has been picked up on our mics. That's why I'm trying to get through this. So just bear with me. So that's Friday, June 3rd at 8 o'clock, and then Saturday, June 4th at 8 o'clock. All right, folks. We appreciate you guys being on the Neuse Little podcast, and for everybody out there in podcast land, we appreciate you listening to this episode. Thanks, guys. Good luck with the show, and break a leg, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, I'm Matt Gore, and that's my producer, Toole. Yo, we'll see you next time. Thank you. Credits for the show. Your host and creator is Matt Gore. That's me. My producer and editor is Mita Toole.
That's me.
Music is by Cody Walker. Please go look up Cody on Cody Walker Music on YouTube, and he's also on Cody Walker Music on Facebook as well. He's local, so and he's got a couple of albums out. Easy listening, John Denver type of guitar voice, that Cody Walker. All right, thanks for listening. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.